Καλησπέρα σε όλους. Τον περασμένο Σεπτέμβρη, λίγους μήνες μετά την Αραβική Άνοιξη και τις διαδηλώσεις των αγανακτισμένων στην Ισπανία και την Ελλάδα, μερικές εκατοντάδες κάτοικοι της Νέας Υόρκης αποφασίζουν να διαμαρτυρηθούν για όσα τους στερεί εδώ και χρόνια το λεγόμενο αμερικανικό όνειρο. Συγκεντρώνονται στο πάρκο Ζουκώτη και βάζουν στόχο να καταλάβουν τη Wall Street, τη μέκα του καπιταλισμού. Όταν το 1% των πλούσιων Αμερικανών κατέχει το 40% του εθνικού πλούτου και έχει τέτοια δύναμη που να καθορίζει την πορεία ολόκληρης της χώρας, το 99% πάβει να σωπαίνει και ζητά οικονομική δικαιοσύνη και περισσότερη δημοκρατία. Απόψε στην Εμπόλεμη Ζώνη, ένα ντοκιμαντέρ για το νέο κίνημα που πιστεύει ότι εκφράζει το 99% όχι μόνο των Αμερικανών, αλλά των πολιτών όλου του κόσμου.
My name is Stanley Woods. I'm from Chicago. We are here standing at the foot of Wall Street, attempting to shut this hellish building down. Horrible, horrible place. Needs to go. I would love it if the people inside would help as well, but they also need to feed their families, and they really don't know what they're doing to themselves.
Protect the people, not the money. Protect the people, not the money. Protect the people, not the money. Everybody back, back up. Back up. Get back. It's not us. Out. It is not us. It is this. One down. Out.
So far, I've seen 5 people arrested for standing on the sidewalk. For standing on the sidewalk and chanting. There's a Rage Against the Machine song that has my favorite lyrics of all time. I don't know if I can say it on news, but fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. And that's the message for me today.
Police defend the war. Present. Police defend the war. Present. Police defend. Shut down Wall Street. 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 99%. We are the 99%.
Banks got bailed out. We got sold out. Banks got bailed out. We got sold out.
Wall Street is the source of, well, it's the concentration of money in this country, and that money buys political power, it buys votes. So it disenfranchises the rest of us. So our votes get watered down by a ton of money that comes from over there.
The whole idea today is that we're marching in sympathy with our brothers in Greece, our brothers in Spain, across Europe and Asia. We're no longer going to wait for our leaders to take the case for us. Now it is up to us to take the case and make it our own. Change will come on our terms.
For 3 weeks, there was a protest in 1,000 cities around the world, many in solidarity with this movement. People in other countries are looking at this and they're saying, at last, finally, some Americans are standing up and fighting back against the system.
We are the 99%. We are the 99%.
We are the 99% because that's the banner we stand behind. That the 1% have basically bankrupted this country, and not just this country, but the world in general.
100 people, and then by the evening of September 17th, there was 1,000 people here, and we had our first GA meeting, trying to decide what to do, because we were surrounded by police all around this block, and they were threatening to kick us out at 10 p.m. because, I mean, even though this park doesn't close, they arbitrarily make up what they want. They said 10 p.m. we're going to kick you out. Then the police came in and said, oh, you can't use bullhorns, so they took away the bullhorns. And so then we started using our people's mic, which was even more effective than the bullhorns. So 1,000 of us started communicating using this people's mic.
Mic check! We amplify each other's voices! We amplify each other's voices! No matter what's said! No matter what's said! So we can hear one another! So we can hear one another!
We deliberated for 3 hours from 6:30 to 9:30 on what to do, and we still didn't have a clear plan. We were thinking of, one of the ideas was running back to Wall Street. If they kick us out of here, just run back there and you know, take that over. And so we were thinking of all these different options, and then the police at 9:30 said, we're not going to kick you out. And everyone went crazy, and we started, you know, pitching tents and started dividing up into working groups immediately, like security, you know, sanitation, kitchen, you know, all the food, all the stuff. And that's how the first night, and then as the week progressed, the police started making these little incursions that started getting out on YouTube because it was a press blackout. Nobody knew we were here. So that doubled our numbers on the first incursion on Tuesday. 400 people were here by Tuesday night. And then we just kept going. Then Saturday we marched up to Union Square with you know, as many people as we had.
What are you fucking doing? Get back!
And it just turned into a crazy time up there, and the police decided to arrest everybody. You know, everybody. They decided to put everybody in a block, arrest everybody on the block, and that's when they maced these girls, and it hit the front page of every newspaper. And the NYPD really made us what we are today, which is a movement.
Occupy Wall Street is a very organic, spontaneous coming together of people really from all backgrounds in America, all ages, who've decided that really the people that we elected into office have not done the jobs required to improve lives for the majority of Americans. And this is an attempt to go beyond politics. The 99% are simply not being served. Our interests are not being served by the corporate political model in which big money rules all.
Then the following week was the Brooklyn Bridge incident, and that was the biggest arrest in U.S. history. It was 700 plus people arrested on the Brooklyn Bridge. That really put us on the map as a movement.
Στη Μητρόπολη του παγκόσμιου καπιταλισμού, οι κοινωνικές και ταξικές ανισότητες οξύνονται διαρκώς. Η ανεργία έχει εκτοξευθεί στο 9,1%. Μαζί με την υποαπασχόληση πλησιάζουν το 25%. Το βιωτικό επίπεδο των Αμερικανών συμπιέζεται συνεχώς. Το 15,2%, δηλαδή περισσότεροι από 46 εκατομμύρια άνθρωποι, ζουν κάτω από τα όρια της φτώχειας. 2 μήνες μετά τη δημιουργία του κινήματος Occupy Wall Street, όλο και περισσότεροι Αμερικανοί μιλούν ανοιχτά για τα ταμπού της οικονομίας, για το 1% που πλουτίζει εις βάρος τους, για την κυβέρνηση, τους οργανισμούς και τις τράπεζες που δρούν ανεξέλεγκτα, χωρίς να δίνουν λογαριασμό σε κανέναν. Οι Αμερικανοί αγανακτισμένοι διαδηλώνουν ειρηνικά, ακόμη και όταν η αστυνομία προχωρά σε πρωτοφανή αριθμό συλλήψεων στην ιστορία των Ηνωμένων Πολιτειών.
In general, we want to start that discussion. We're going to be taking stack, and we just try to work and keep everything passive, everything very positive, and just try to work towards a better understanding and the free flow of ideas. We're going to use the regular hand signals. If you like what's being said, try to use your hands up. If you're okay with it, you're right in here, down, not so happy about it. If you have a clarifying question, just put up a little C, get my attention or Eric's attention. If you have a factual point of information, just hold your finger up, and we will try to, and that should be, statistics, like 50% of such and such does such and such. So, in general, who wants to be up on stack? Okay, this gentleman's flashing.
I'd like to say something from the lessons of history, because the last time there was any big movement like this in the late 60s and early 70s, it was trashed by people who trolled for bad things. They looked for the bad things, they publicized the bad things, and it tarred the whole movement. Keep it peaceful. You guys have the memo. Tell others. Keep it cool. Keep it peaceful. And that will spread the word rurally. That'll spread the word around the world better than anything else. That will be the publicity.
The CNN coverage was, they were just saying that they were calling Obama Antichrist.
My name is Paul Croce, and I teach at a college in Central Florida. I see this as a real bottom-up movement. This is something where the people are finally speaking out about something that has been intolerant, that there have been so many problems, because there are people who are breaking rules, there are people who are gaming the rules, and there are people who have enough money to be able to wait out people who would have a fair case to bring against the rules. And those are the kinds of things that I think is finally making people say, enough. Enough.
We lived in an economy that went from, as I said, the economy was built on debt. The idea that we would borrow money from the future to pay our current needs. And then, of course, when they had to pay the money back, many people didn't have the money to pay it back. So we had an increase in bankruptcies and foreclosures of people's homes. Nobody was doing anything about home foreclosures, about unemployment, and the like, and it's gotten much more severe. And so what's happened now is that a lot of young people are experiencing this. They're going to college, when they get out, they can't find a job. They're trapped in tremendous amounts of student debt that they can't pay back. Their parents bought cars or bought homes that they can't afford. We have an economic crisis, but alongside it, a social crisis.
13 days and counting for a protest calling itself Occupy Wall Street, turning a public park into a mini campsite near New York's Wall Street. Their message, end corporate greed, they say, is killing America's economy.
Solidarity forever.
After 3 weeks, there was a protest in 1,000 cities around the world, many in solidarity with this movement. People in other countries are looking at this and they're saying, at last, finally, some Americans are standing up and fighting back against the system. Media has definitely magnified the visibility of the issue, but now the Occupy movement is creating its own media.
The mainstream media, the New York Times, the Washington Post, U.S. News, these mainstream publications weren't going to cover this movement the way we see it evolving, and we needed a voice of our own and our own outlet. So the Occupied Wall Street Journal, it's only one now of many newspapers around the country that have taken on the Occupied name. There's the Occupied Boston Globe is forming, there's the Occupied Washington Post and Occupied Washington Times, there's the Occupied Venice Journal in Los Angeles, and many more. The Wall Street Journal did a story on us, and they didn't have any problem with us having the name. I think their writers were amused and passed around copies of the newspaper in their office. But I think it's a catchy, it's a great notion that you're not only going to occupy streets and parks and cities, you'll occupy boardrooms and education rooms and newspapers. Social media has been key. It was key in Greece, it was key in Spain, it was very key in Tunisia, Egypt, everywhere else. That's just the makeup of social movements today, I think, is that we will use all tools at our disposal, and that's regular email, internet communicating, and it's Twitter and blogging and live streaming and Facebooking and everything else to get messages out quickly, powerfully, to the point, getting people into the streets, starting campaigns saying, go take your money out of the banks next week.
My name's Timothy Poole. I'm not a student. I do a multitude of projects. I'm essentially a jack of all trades. And I came here around day 4 for Occupy Wall Street. And I just had my little phone camera and I started filming. And eventually I met up with my friend Henry. And there was a point where we realized we could do a live broadcast through the phone. My phone here. This is what I shoot with, and we were able to reach over 750,000 people simultaneously. At one time, we had 31,000 viewers on the channel. Our stream was embedded on the websites of just multiple foreign outlets like Al Jazeera, RT. It was also on Reuters. This technology that we have, the smartphones, we have information at our fingertips, and it's really decentralizing power. As they say, knowledge is power. And now that we have the gift of knowledge at our fingertips, the power is being restored slowly to the people. Hi, everybody. So I'm back on live right now, and I'm with some people from Athens who have asked me some questions about our channel and about the movement with social media. And I wanted to show them, and I want to show you, just essentially what was happening. So we're having them film me as I stream it out to everyone who's watching. All right, so for those watching, I'm going to flip to the reverse cam so they can see the screen, and I would like to interview them. So just 1 second, stay with us. So what I can do now is I can use the front cam. All right, so we're back up, and so this is Janine from Athens, and this is Ari, his name? Aris. Say that one more time. Aris. From Athens, and they were just interviewing me about the movement, the global movement that we're seeing, and social media's role in it, as well as criticism. I'm seeing people from the UK are here. Everyone's saying hello to Athens. I think this is the future. I've already inspired about 4 or 5 people here that I know to start doing their own channels, which is awesome. So as I was saying, the revolution won't be televised, but it will be streamed. For everybody, follow me on Twitter at IWillOccupy, as well as my personal account at Timcast, Timcast, and I'll let you know when we're going back live. And also, be vigilant. I'm going to go off the stream in just about 20 seconds, but we never know what's going to happen next, and the stream will be up. So we'll see you around.
is one of our most celebrated Twitter guy, and here people who are coding away of our various enterprise software systems and the website. So that's the internet and open source. Couple people from that group. The group is a lot larger, of course. That is people working on the offices, and there's a large group here from PR, that's press and public relations. They're having their closed-door meeting. My name is Shen Tong, and I'm a political exile from the Tiananmen pro-democracy movement back in 1989. I started to help Occupy Wall Street in October, and I'm mainly helping at this phase organizational work. Liberty Plaza is not Tiananmen Square. There's really two very different things. The similarities is more a personal idealistic aspects, which is we wanted a very different China then, and then this bottom-up movement in China was huge, like estimated 120 to 150 million people direct participation. It's similar to this movement in the sense that this is also a bottom-up, stepping up, ask no permission, and just stay true to its ideal. The movement started here in Liberty Plaza, September 17th, and there's basically fairly quickly a direct democracy body was formed called the General Assembly. But on day-to-day basis, anything ranging from park security and taking minutes to big picture stuff, think tank, movement building, direct action, outreach, structure, organization, are organized as autonomous but mostly very effective working groups. So there are officially over 100 working groups. 87 of them are listed on the GA side.
So we have a lot of groups that are working on solutions along these lines. We have a lot of things happening, and right now we're trying to pull it together more inter-occupied, see what the other occupies are up to, and figure out how to get into the middle of the country.
Let's go! Time to go! Let's go!
This whole area for a two-block radius was blocked off. They shut the trains down. They shut the airspace down over us. They kept there was a press blackout. I mean, you would think this was Baghdad or something all of a sudden.
When I got up, I saw children running. I saw blood. I saw bruises. They were beating 14-year-old kids with nightsticks, okay? They were punching people to get them to get up and do what they wanted them to do. They were outright dogs. They actually went out there to hurt someone, and they had fun doing it, laughing and smiling the whole time.
Protesters have had 2 months to occupy the park with tents and sleeping bags. Now they will have to occupy the space with the power of their arguments.
New York State, New York State, New York
So tomorrow is a big day for losers.
Yeah, that's when some groups plan to stage a demonstration in New York City. An online group called Occupy Wall Street is calling for thousands of lefties to, quote, flood into lower Manhattan. Now, I got nothing against this. America is all about having your voice heard, no matter how stupid that voice may be.
Because they're sending these jobs overseas. The police are also suffering. They're having their health care cut, their pensions cut, no pay increases. So they're part of us.
Is your message resonating with the police here?
One more question here.
Is your message resonating with the police?
A little bit, but they can't show it openly. I've got some nods, I got some winks. They know where, a lot of them know where I'm coming from. A lot of them still are learning.
The NYPD is on the brink of defecting
not
joining the Occupy Wall Street movement?
They're not on the brink at all. Not one little bit. It's a long process. I'm here to show solidarity with the protesters who were protesting for freedom of speech, freedom to assembly.
Greed and financial companies have really ruined the world for many others. And now a profit is being pursued by every company in the world. So we have to give up the charade that money is something that's going to be able to be garnished by just a few, held by a few, and leaving everyone else behind. There's simply not that many resources in the world, and those resources have to be shared in a more fair way. Most hedge fund managers only pay 15% tax when most of us pay 25 to 35. So we're asking for a fair tax rate from those hedge fund managers. We also would like no more corporate givebacks for fuel and energy concerns that are making a tremendous profit already. No more corporate welfare. And a lot of the compensation packages for some of these executives is unfair. There are school teachers and there are firefighters who are very influential in their communities, very helpful every day. They're not making a wage that is comparable to the amount of risk they're taking. Some of these executives, they sit in marble offices, and the job is not very difficult to fire people and ship jobs overseas to slave labor. A very easy job to do, but they're making tons of money off the backs of really families that are hungry and whose houses are being foreclosed upon. It's just generally very unfair. The whole idea today is that we're marching in sympathy with our brothers in Greece, our brothers in Spain, across Europe.
Greed has taken over this country and ruined millions of people's lives.
You're all dressed up today.
Yeah, I've been wearing a suit every day that I come.
Why is that?
Well, at first it started because they were calling us hippies, and I wanted to show people that we were regular people. And now I just kind of do it as a statement, just to show that we're regular folks, that we're looking for work. We're not looking for a handout.
You've studied, you're unemployed?
Yes, I'm a college graduate and I'm underemployed. Yeah. Meaning I work freelance, but I don't have a full-time job.
Difficult to find something?
Very difficult. I graduated 2 years ago and I've never had a full-time job since.
With the help of my students, we went and conducted a scientific sample survey of the group of protesters and analyzed the results. I was surprised to find out that the group of protesters we surveyed were not exclusively young, unemployed students, but they were actually very well educated, a little older than what you would have expected perhaps if you were looking at the accounts in the press. So the average age of protesters on Wall Street was 33 years old, which means that for everyone in their mid-20s, there was someone in their mid-40s. 50% of the protesters had at least a college degree, and 20% of the protesters had a postgraduate degree. About a third were unemployed, and about 25% were students, but we also had about 1 in 3 protesters that were employed full-time. So we're talking about a very, very well-educated class of working professionals who are there to fight for the things they believe in.
If you put your hands on the lady here, I promise you will regret it. That's the point. Your work is the whole fucking thing. Go around the other way.
What's your name, sir?
What is your name? We believe in Occupy Wall Street. All day, all week. Occupy Wall Street. Family support. I understand that. Your family will not have money.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Don't worry, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
That's why we're here. They own it. We don't. My dad's a cop. I know the story. I know you're doing your job. I know you're doing your job. They're coming for your pension next.
It's a very interesting movement, and it's already had quite an impact. It's incredible. You compare it to previous historical movements in the last 40 years, the civil rights movement, the anti-war movement against the war in Vietnam. These movements took years before they actually got the politicians and the media to pay attention to them and to recognize them. And this took only a couple months. And already, you know, the media is talking more about inequality than they have in the past 10 years. So clearly they've already succeeded in changing the debate somehow, and I think that's very impressive.
Do the right thing for you, your family, your kids.
You know, we haven't had since the Great Depression a mass movement that was based on economic issues, and they have great moral clarity. And it's a good slogan, the 99%, it fits. I mean, you know, from just as a statistical matter, from 1979 to 2007, the top 1% got 60% of the income gains of the whole country. And here we have the situation where basically for 30 years, you've had the top 1% getting most of the income growth of the country.
Protect the people, not the money. 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 God damn. Everybody back, back up. Back up. Everybody get back. It's not us. Out. It is not us. It is this. One down. Out.
One of the reasons you have people in the streets here in the whole Occupy Wall Street movement is because the government did give hundreds of billions of dollars to the banks and didn't put any requirements on them, really. And so I think part of it was necessary. It was necessary to recapitalize the banking system, but there could have been reforms attached to that, and we didn't get much of that. So people are upset about the injustice of it. I mean, nothing was done for people who lost their homes, people who lost their jobs, and yet the banks and big financial companies were restored to enormous profitability. In fact, they caught up with their pre-crisis level of profits within a year, and so people saw this as outrageous. But our government just isn't politically capable of doing the things that are necessary.
Why not?
Because it's controlled by powerful interests. Wall Street, for example, is the most powerful lobby in the country, probably. And so they don't want to do it. You have these powerful lobbies, this extreme concentration of income. You know, here in Washington, you go to K Street, you see these people who get $1 million a year. They are former congressional staffers. That's why they go to work as a staff, and then they go straight to K Street, and then they make a fortune using their influence. And it's become a very corrupt system. You know, people complain about corruption in Greece or other countries, but you know, the main difference here is that we've legalized it, okay? So it's legal to buy your member of Congress or your senator for corporations to do that. And so I don't really think, it's just a different form of corruption, but I don't think it's any less harmful. In fact, it's a lot worse in some ways than the corruption you see in poor countries where people can buy a judge or a policeman or bribe people. You know, here they really changed the whole policy of the country by buying the Congress and the executive.
Οι καταλήψεις στις Ηνωμένες Πολιτείες σύντομα εξαπλώνονται σε περισσότερες από 1.000 πόλεις. Οι διαδηλωτές εκφράζουν, αν όχι το 99% των Αμερικανών πολιτών, τουλάχιστον ένα μεγάλο ποσοστό τους. Η Ουάσιγκτον αντιλαμβάνεται ότι το κίνημα, που αρχικά θεωρήθηκε γραφικό και σίγουρα περιθωριακό, αλλάζει το δημόσιο διάλογο στη χώρα και θεωρείται πλέον μια υπολογίσιμη τάση που μπορεί να εκφραστεί στις προεδρικές εκλογές του 2012.
We're here in McPherson Square. Behind me you can see the statue of General James McPherson, who was a Civil War general that fought on the side of the Union. We're here not because of McPherson, but because of the intersection of 15th Street and K Street. Well, K Street is sort of the headquarters of the lobbying industrial complex, is what I like to call it, where all the lobbying firms are. And so the easiest way to explain why we're here is to make the point that the big money that the Wall Street investment banks make goes from those banks and then into the lobbying firms here on K Street. And then it's used to corrupt our democracy down the street in the White House and in Congress. So that's why we're right here sort of at the heart of the corporatism that we're trying to fight against. The idea is that is that 1% of our society, the top 1% of income earners, of wealth holders, have a vastly disproportionate influence over our democracy because they use their vast wealth to hire lobbyists or to peddle influence here in DC to make sure that the policy outcomes that they favor come to pass. And they do that, they're able to do that because of the massive influence that their campaign dollars hold. You know, I can't afford a lobbyist. Most of us here in this camp can't afford a lobbyist. And so we don't have the opportunity that 1% has to be able to influence our politics using our money. And so the 99% is the rest of us. The 99% is those of us who don't have that massive monetary power to be able to have that kind of unjust influence on our politics. And the 99% is those of us who are working to change it so that the 1% don't have that much power and so that the rest of us can still have a voice.
All of the Occupy movement starts with the premise that we all owe them everything. They take over a public park they didn't pay for, to go nearby to use bathrooms they didn't pay for, to beg for food from places they don't want to pay for, to obstruct those who are going to work to pay the taxes to sustain the bathrooms and to sustain the park, so they can self-righteously explain that they are the paragons of virtue to which we owe everything. Now, that is a pretty good symptom of how much the left has collapsed as a moral system in this country and why you need to reassert something as simple as saying to them, go get a job right after you take a bath.
Say that we're lazy if Newt Gingrich or Eric Cantor or any of these other American politicians thinks that we're lazy, I would invite them to come and work in our food tent for a day and see how lazy they are back there when they have to make 300 meals a day.
I was never very good with carving, so I apologize.
The people that would say that we're just sort of lazy hippies that don't want to get jobs clearly have not come out and spoken to us. The people that say that we don't know what we're talking about clearly haven't come out and talked to us about the unregulated derivatives market that crashed the economy in 2008. They haven't come out here and talked to us about the campaign finance laws that allow for massive piles of dollars to drown out our voices. These statements that have been made to slur against us are inaccurate, and it would be seen that they're wrong if only they would come out and talk to us. If they would step away from their podium and their microphone and talk to any one of us, they would discover that we're not this cartoon character that they're drawing, that we're human beings, and that we have a voice and that we have something to say.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Jackie. All right. Okay, guys. It's okay. Okay, it's okay. That's all right. Listen, I'm going to be talking about a whole range of things today, and I appreciate you guys making your point. Let me go ahead and make mine, all right? And I'll listen to you, you listen to me, all right?
Clearly, protesters are very frustrated with aspects of politics, particularly with inequalities and what they perceive to be a lack of fairness with respect to the political system and how it treats affluent Wall Streeters versus the rest of the country. But it also suggests that they are displeased with the political system overall. So roughly 75% of protesters voted in 2008, and 1 in 3 say they are not going to vote in 2012.
I think there's a feeling that our country is broken, that our institutions aren't working, that our government is corrupt, that the role of big money in politics is distorting the political system, that all the politicians do is try to spend all their time raising more money for the next election. And they become beholden to all sorts of special interests. So they're not really serving the people who voted for them, they're serving the people who financed their campaigns. And there's a widespread perception that the institutions are, really totally out of control. Right now the polls show 8 to 9% support for the Congress of the United States. That's a new low, a sign of lack of confidence in the institutions themselves.
You should test, and I intend to take that message to every corner of this country.
If you read the newspapers today, I, for one, am increasingly concerned about the growing mobs occupying Wall Street.
Politicians are not being very responsive in delivering or addressing their reforms, and I think that frustration has the potential to become increasingly violent. Alternatively, they will have to find other ways to try to impact the political system, and they may try to do that through more traditional ways of political involvement. For example, getting more involved in political campaigns, fielding and supporting candidates to run for office in 2012 that commit to support the kinds of policies that they want to promote. All of that remains to be seen, but I think that we are at a real turning point at this stage in terms of where the movement is going to go. And the decision that it makes could ultimately determine its fate as a political movement.
Six weeks ago, or 2 months ago, the only thing anybody talked about was debt. But now they're beginning to talk about economic inequality and the powerlessness of the majority of the people in this country. So Occupy Wall Street has shifted that conversation. Now, will it remain shifted? We don't know.
What determines the fate of the Occupy Wall Street movement will be how they decide to move forward at this point. Will it become a more radicalized, more violent movement that has the danger of alienating people and alienating public support?
What this movement intends to do, and it has been amazingly successful so far, is to reshape very fundamental values that will have hopefully profound impact to anything from election to campaign financing policy to economic policies and beyond. So I think those big picture stuff and specific policy that addresses the current unemployment and the foreclosure will play out itself.
I worked for Wells Fargo as a banker for 2 years, and I was laid off in October last year when the same month that they posted a 12% increase in profits, they laid off a couple thousand tellers and bankers, as I recall. And their reasoning at the time was something about needing to cut costs in the wake of financial regulation. Losing my job directly was a consequence of the financial crisis. My mother also lost a great deal of her retirement in the crisis because her retirement was part of one of those packaged CDOs that was built with other infected mortgages, and so she lost a great deal of her retirement. So for me, to know that the company that I once worked for, among other things, is funding for-profit prisons in this country, or is so thoroughly involved in what brought about the financial crisis, to know that my employer played a part in that very much gives me a personal stake in what goes on out here. I think it's been so drowned out by dollars in this country. Everyone is so concerned about how much money you're making and whether you're making more or less than the next person, when what we really should be focused on instead is building communities of people that care about each other, so that we have communities that can withstand any crisis that's thrown at it, whether it be an economic crisis or an oil shock crisis or anything to that effect. We want to have communities that can withstand those kind of shocks. And I think that this represents the beginning of a turn to that, so that we can have communities that are capable of connecting with each other and connecting to each other, so that we'll be able to stand strong against whatever the future brings. We want to be a model of the kind of society that we want to live in. And so that, I think, is my primary inspiration as far as the ultimate goals of this space, is trying to be a model society for the kind of place we want to live. I want to change the way that that policy is being talked about, so that we no longer have a government that's run by and for the 1%, so that we instead have a government that's run for the 99%, because we're the people that are voting them into office.
Lawmakers and governments should be paying attention to these movements, because we seem to be living in an age of protests and demonstrations that suggest that governments are not delivering what citizens want, and that citizens are not just going to sit back and accept whatever they get from their governments, but they will try to influence the political system any way they can. And in many cases, these movements are successful in making important changes to the kinds of policies governments adopt. This is not isolated to any particular part of the country. It's all over the country. And so the level of frustration is very high, and it's national, it's nationwide. And I think that that is a signal to the power of this movement and the degree to which the frustration is really pervasive in the United States of America.
I see it. That's where they're going to be. We're going to be right below it? We're going to be right below it, yeah.
We are unstoppable, yeah?
Yeah, then let's just do the chant. We are unstoppable. Another world is possible. Let's do that for a while.
Okay. Can I help you?
Yeah, can I get a full-size car?
For full-size.
Maybe 10 to 20,000 people. Yeah. All right, so we got some time. All right, so we're still at the very, very tip. So we can hit it. You want to hit it? We're thinking like when they get halfway across or something.
I'm gonna hit it in a few minutes.
Με